Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, Fight Family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Munoz.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I'm Alexei Olenek. And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi, everybody from American Top Teams.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 54 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. And if you want $50 free, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our now 6 betting partners. Make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, any one of these 6 betting partners. And this is brought to you by EarnU. EarnU is the world's first sports and esports prediction game, allowing you to earn crypto risk-free. Check it out now at earnu.io. And there's an echo in my office. I'm moving. I'm literally moving tomorrow. My entire house is stripped. The only thing I kept together was my monitors, the lights, and this microphone, so I could do this. And
hey, man, a little downsizing
echoing.
Never hurt anyone. Don't be ashamed by that.
And now it's echoing. I noticed you have, so I appreciate it. Let's jump right in. That UFC 274 was one of the weirdest pay-per-view cards we've ever had, but
there were some of the best fights and obviously some of the worst fights too. But the good ones were great, and the bad ones were bad.
My picks went pretty well. Others not so well, but let's jump right into this card and opening up UFC Vegas 54. We have Nick Maximov taking on Andre Petroski. This is like a grappler's delight. Nick Maximov is 8-0, 5-0 in his last 5, coming off a split decision over Punahil Soriano. Andre Petroski is 7-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He is riding a nice 2-fight stoppage win streak. And Nick Maximov, he's a solid BJJ guy. He knows what he's good at, and he sticks to it. His striking is pretty raw, but his MMA takedowns continue to improve. He does have a college wrestling background, and he showed that off against Punahil Soriano in that last fight because Nick was getting outstruck in that first round, and then he went to the wrestling and really started to take over and started to make some things happen on his own. Andre Petroski, he's also a very good wrestler. He's got great takedowns. His stand-up is also just okay, but it's just loaded with power shots, and those are there to set up the wrestling. He's absolutely a wrestler, and his wrestling is pretty dominant. It's fast, and it's in your face. Andre looked good in his last few fights, but we did watch him lose to Brian Battle on The Ultimate Fighter, and it was because he did not set up his takedowns. Basically, if he can't set up his takedowns, he's in some trouble. He really needs that wrestling to make stuff happen. And this is a tough fight to call because it is wrestler versus grappler. Maximov is a grappler. He does have wrestling background, wrestling takedowns, but he's more of a grappler in MMA. Petroski's just a straight-up pure wrestler. He has some submission defense. And I think at the end of the day, I trust Andre Petroski more to just start wrestling and dive right into the wrestling, where I think Nick will entertain the striking. And that's actually what concerns me here because Nick Maximov is my pick. I think he's the more complete fighter, but we have seen wrestlers do what wrestlers do. We just watched it happen to what's-her-name this past weekend. And Andre Petroski could say, I'm not messing with the striking. I'm just going to shoot some takedowns and hang out on top. And he could absolutely be one of the most live underdogs on this card, especially at plus 290. But I do like Nick Maximov to win. He does have a college wrestling background, so he's not just a pure grappler. And his hands are starting to come together a little bit. So my pick is Nick Maximov. Jacob Lutz, what are you thinking?
I'm getting sick and tired of the wishy-washy back and forth, man. Every pick now, you make a pick, but then you lobby for the other person. That way you can always say either my pick was right or my analysis was right. You know, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm sick of it. Nick Maximov's going to win this fight, but I think the odds are a little bit wide. Honestly, when I saw this fight was announced, I was like, oh, that's going to be a very, very good matchup because of the wrestling versus the grappling, as Angelo mentioned. And I see this as kind of a an explosion versus a grinder type fighter, with Andre being the explosion guy in his striking, in his wrestling, in his grappling, everything is just go, go, go. I want the finish. Where Nick Maximov, you saw it against in his last fight, it's just kind of a slow grind. He just kind of holds on to you, and in the grappling, it's just kind of working slowly from position to position. And because of that explosion in Andre, you see that in the gas tank issues. You see as the fights go on, he does get tired. It's not quite as explosive. I trust Nick Maximov's cardio and his wrestling a little bit more than I do Andre. You know, that last fight was one of those split decisions where he actually got a 30-27 on one scorecard, and then the other guy got a 29-28, which is a little bit weird. I thought it was a 30-27. I thought he controlled that fight pretty well, and I think he can do the same thing.
Stop talking.
And I think
Solar
he can
Warden
do the
with the $50 super chat. Solar, you're the man. Thank you very, very much for that, and hopefully you get rich off the rest of these picks in this breakdown. Thank you very much, Solar Warden. Sorry.
And I was, no, that's fine. I was the one talking, so that is mine. So that's just how that works. He was like, "Wow, this guy is good, huh?" But yeah, I think Nick can his wrestling and grappling can withstand the early explosions from Andre. I think Andre's gas tanks wear down, and he's kind of an undersized 185er as well. He almost looks like he could make 170. So I like Nick pretty much all the way. I think the odds are a little bit wide. I don't disagree that Andre could maybe control this fight with his wrestling, but I think Nick handles it pretty well. I think he's a real deal prospect. So I'm Nick Maximov all the way.
We're both on Maximov. I'm still rattled by Solar Warden. Again, another shout out. That is huge. Thank you very much. Very, very appreciated. We're both on Maximov, and obviously the criticism that I'm pick a link. That is fight analysis. When we get to the Amanda Ribas fight, I will make it very clear how I feel there. But
yeah, I bet you
in
will.
this fight,
you get smacked in the mouth.
There's definitely some.
You
plus
laugh. You're gonna get smacked in the mouth.
Anyway, I do like Nick Maximov to win. I don't like him at $9,300. Andre Petroski could get stopped, but $9,300 is a lot of money. What do you think?
He's probably gonna be in mine because I think he gets the takedowns he needs, and when he gets on your back, he is like Oliveira, dangerous type guy on your back. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I mean, certainly he's a very good submission guy. Monkey Knife Fight strike line. I do think this goes a little bit, but I don't know what to do with that strike line. You like the more?
Yeah, and we've seen, I think you mentioned before, that sometimes two grapplers will just kind of stand and bang because they're both kind of nervous of the other guy's grappling ability. So this could be a kickboxing match. So I like the more.
Yeah, more is probably the play. Check that out at wewantpicks.com/MKF. Monkey Knife Fight is daily fantasy. It's daily fantasy. Super easy. Ton of fun. You just do more or less than these strike lines, and you could triple your money. And if you want $50, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up. Make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. And Luis Rodriguez with the $2 super chat. He said,
Luis Rodriguez just got permanently banned.
Carla Esparza beats Pat Sabatini. Heard it here first. She does have phenomenal wrestling, and, I am always a big fan of the wrestlers. Well, you got to take it down. Luis just bought that for $2. Take it down. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have the rebooked Tatsuro Taira taking on Carlos Candelario. This fight was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago at UFC Vegas 53. Carlos Candelario pulled out on fight day, undisclosed illness. Like, that just happened to Donald Cerrone. It happened to him, but we knew, right? We knew it was food poisoning. We don't know what happened to Carlos Candelario. Whatever it was, poison. I guess it was resolved within 2 weeks, but we don't know specifically what happened. And Tatsuro Tairo's 10-0 overall, 5-0 in his last 5. He is riding a 3-fight stoppage streak. And Carlos Candelario's 8-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. And he's coming off the first loss of his entire career. Tatsuro Taira, he's a big prospect. We just broke him down 2 weeks ago. Same read, but he's a big prospect. People have been talking about him for a little while now. He's the number 1 ranked flyweight in Japan, and a lot of fighters out of that region are very young, and Tatsuro Taira is no different. He is only 22 years old, but he does have 10 fights and 9 finishes, and if you had to put him in a category, he's a well-rounded guy, but if you had to put him in a category, you'd probably call him a grappler. He's a pretty patient striker as well. He does have some power in his hands because a handful of his submission wins were set up from strikes. He drops people, pounces, super slick, and he gets it done. When he tries to shoot his own takedowns, they're honestly not great, but he sticks with them, he works with them, and he ends up dragging people to the ground. And he's taking on Carlos Candelario. He's a Northeast guy like myself. And he's coming up for a while now. I've been hearing that name around the Northeast for quite a bit. He's an incredibly fun guy to watch fighting. And if you watch him on that Contender Series, it was a loss. It was a really fun fight, and he was still able to work a UFC contract in a loss anyway. And style-wise, he's pretty good everywhere. He's a very well-rounded guy, super tough, very durable guy. He's got really good hands with Golden Glove boxing experience. He's got solid jiu-jitsu with some competition-level experience. And up until that split decision loss on the Contender Series, he was undefeated, but there's a 4-year gap in his competition timeline. So the man literally took 4 years off because of some injuries and just life caught up to him in general. And anytime we get an undefeated Asian prospect, the comment section is flooded with hollow record. This is blah, 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 just like negative Nancy, all that stuff. But if you dig into Tatsuro Taira's record, it is not hollow. It is not, 10-0 against 9 people with losing records. Almost every single person in that 10-0 has a winning record. The cumulative record of the people that Tatsuro Taira fought is much better than the cumulative record of the people that Carlos Candelario fought. Somebody was trying to make the point in the comment section the other day, but almost everybody that Taira fought was coming off a lot. Who cares? Look at the body of his opponent's work, and it's a natural progression. So it's not the hollow record that a lot of people like to throw at some of these young Asian fighters. But this is an interesting fight because I think Taira's the more...
Shut up.
I think
Taira...
$5. I think I'm going to finish my sentence. I think Taira.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Bert.
I think Taira is the more technical fighter. I think he can outpoint Carlos Candelario, but Carlos Candelario is grittier. He makes fights ugly. And like he did on those Contender Series fights, he can push and turn it into a dogfight and squeak out a win. He has not been the same since that 4-year layoff that started in 2017, but this is a super close fight. These lines did not move much from when it was rebooked last time. Jacob, Carlos Candelario was your lock of the week last time. We'll find out if he is again this time. And Bert, thank you very much, Bert. Bert, $5. Keep me off the wall of shame. Oh, shit, Jacob. Legit. You cannot put him on the wall of shame now. He bought his way off.
That's not going to work that way.
Dude.
Not gonna.
As your boss, I am telling you, take him off the wall. He just bought it.
You got it. It's got to have at least a comma in there. I mean, if you want to be off the wall of shame, you got to put a comma in there or something.
Honestly, I think it's very clever on his part to try to buy his way off that wall, and I think you should entertain it. But before you do, entertain us with your pick. Is he your lock again?
Incredible transition.
Yeah, really.
You have to wait till Wednesday. Wednesday, I do my lock of the week videos now. I'm not going to tell you on this video who my lock is. So tune in Wednesday. I'm still picking Carlos in this fight 100%. He is a candidate for lock of the week. I think I like him even more now because, as you see, he hasn't had his official UFC fight, but he had his Contender Series fight in the Apex. So he's been there, done that before. He's a local guy. Where Tatsuro, he probably came over, thought that he was going to leave after the fight, go back home. Now he's stuck here for another 2 weeks. The nerves are building even more for a young guy away from home making his UFC debut. I think mentally it kind of messes with him a little bit. Carlos, I think, already had the edge mentally. He is the tougher, more... the word I keep going back to is tenacity. Carlos is tenacity in these fights. He's not the more technical guy. He doesn't have the better jiu-jitsu, but I think he gets the takedowns that he needs to win the rounds, can control positions, not get submitted, and in the striking, he is wild enough to put Tatsuro on his back foot and make him worry just a little bit. So I actually think when the fight was rebooked, the odds were like plus 165 for Carlos, and they kind of moved back to 200, which is where they were in the original. So I think people were watching the video, they saw he was lock of the week. Once it opened back up, they jumped on it. And then they started moving the other way. So the early action was on Carlos. I don't blame him. I'm picking Carlos, and we'll have to tune in Wednesday if he's lock of the week.
Yeah, what I will say is your analysis of Tatsuro Taira this last 2 weeks is actually pretty. I didn't even think of it that way, where he's also super inconvenienced and miserable and all that stuff. The reality is, I don't know what happened to Carlos Candelario. If I did, it would be, whatever it was, he couldn't fight that night. Maybe it was nothing. 2 weeks is a long time. Cowboy, for example, he's thrown up for 24 hours. He'll be fine in 2 weeks, right? I don't know what happened to Carlos, That made me feel more confident with Taira. But yeah, emotionally, he could be a mess. He is only 22 years old. This has been a wild situation. So who knows? But I do like Taira, but I think he should be a minus 130, right? Minus 250 is absolutely insane. DraftKings 9,000, 7,200. I don't think Taira's worth 9,000. Carlos is a tough dude. He's not the type of guy you put away. And
yeah, that's some interest. It's some interesting value. It's tough because Tatsuro is so slick on the ground. If this ends up in the ground, I know a lot of people earlier with Tatsuro first round sub. Obviously, a possibility with this big a favorite, how good he is. So it's a tough call. I think it's good value though at $7,200.
I think Carlos, honestly, I don't think he wins, but I do think he's solid value at $7,200. And listen, he trains at Underdog MMA, it's actually Underdog BJJ in Hartford, Connecticut. I know a lot of the people out there. I know Russell runs that place. They have some pretty solid jiu-jitsu program, pretty solid jiu-jitsu guys coming out of that gym. So I imagine at least his defense is on point. So I expect this to go the distance, which is why I also like the more on the Monkey Knife Fight strike line. Do you agree?
100% agree, Angelo.
There we go. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They will instantly match your deposit up to $100. All you got to do is play more and more in strike lines like this, and you can triple your money. WeWantPicks.com/bets. We send you $50, $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. Guys, before I jump into this fight, don't forget, go to
to like the stream.
Well, yeah, do all that stuff. And yes, a lot of We Want Picks plugs, but go to WeWantPicks.com/vote. Vote for, your picks on this card. And if you pick a perfect card, there's only 11 fights. Rumor is there'll be a 12th, but there's only 11 right now. This is the type of card where somebody could pick a perfect card. And if you do, we send you $100. You don't have to do anything. Just pick, and that's it. We send you $100.
I would just follow my picks, and that's an easy 11-0.
Sure. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have Virna Jandiroba taking on Angela Hill. I made a Rob Schneider joke in the Quick Picks video, so I'm not going to do it again, but I cannot look at this and not think of Rob Schneider. It's literally impossible.
Don't. That's
Virna
my girl.
Jandiroba,
That's my girl.
Virna Jandiroba is 17-3 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, and she's coming off a loss to Amanda Ribas. Angela Hill, 13-11 overall, 1-4 in her last 5, but 3 of those 4 losses were close split decisions. Virna Jandiroba is fantastic on the ground. Her striking is just okay, but she hits hard. She throws with solid volume. She doesn't have much head movement, and the stats sell that same exact story because for every 3 strikes that she lands, she is hit with 4. And there's no secret to what her game plan is. Just throw big, heavy punches, look for a takedown. She's 3-3 in the UFC, but her losses are solid, and they age pretty well. She lost to Carla Esparza, Mackenzie Dern, and Amanda Ribas. And Angela Hill's hot and cold, but she is a high fight IQ fighter who is good on her feet. She's fast. She has lots of versatility and volume, but really no power at all. And when breaking down her fights, you'll see that Angela beats everybody that she's supposed to beat, like when she beat Ashley Yoder in that fight. And then she loses to who she's supposed to lose to, like Tisha Torres, Michelle Waterson. She just lost to Amanda Lemos, but I think a lot of people think she won that fight, and that was a super, super close fight. She's talented. She has become the gatekeeper of this division, sort of the measuring stick, so the UFC can find out how good is somebody or not. But she is good everywhere. She's not really a threat. She's not going to submit you. She's not going to TKO you, but she is good everywhere. And her path to victory is avoid the power, avoid the takedowns, just circle and circle, circle. This is another fight. I think these odds are wide. Jandiroba sits at a heavy favorite here at minus 165. I get it because she's the more dangerous fighter, but so was Amanda Lemos. And Angela Hill gave her a ton of trouble. Amanda Lemos was supposed to take off Angela Hill's head, and that was a split decision that a lot of people felt the other way about. Jandiroba needs the big punches to set up her takedowns, and Angela Hill is fast and very good at her in and out striking. Her takedown defense is solid at 78%. I think, frankly, this goes against everything I've been saying because I've been saying Angela Hill is overrated for a long time now, but I think Angela Hill wins this fight. I think this is her fight to win, but the bet, I've already placed this bet. I threw 3 units on it, I think,
Here
maybe
we go
2.
with the flip-flop.
I forget which 3 or 2 units. I did a plus 3.5 bet on Angela Hill. It was only minus 125, I believe. And all that means is I bought a half of a round on the judge's scorecard. Or sorry, a half round. I bought a round on the judge's scorecard. So all Angela Hill needs to do is win one single round in this fight. In real life, I bought another round. That gets me 2-1, and the bet pays out. It's like minus 125 right now, minus 130 right now. It is the best bet to make in this fight. Angela Hill does not get finished. She doesn't really finish anybody, but she does not get finished. She's stupid tough. This will likely be a 29-28 for Virna or Angela either way. And either way that goes, that bet will pay out. WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. BetOnline is the only partner on planet Earth that offers up the buy a round bet, the plus 3.5 bet. I've already placed it. I got a few units on that. How many? It's either 2 or 3. I forget. I'll have to look. I'll let you guys know in the betting breakdown, obviously. But WeWantPicks.com/bets. Bet online. Jump in. Grab that bet. I don't like telling you people what to do, but that's what I did. I feel very confident. And if you sign up with any one of the partners and make a deposit, we send you $50. Jakey boy. What do you think of Schneidi?
Yeah, who do you stop saying? Virna is my girl, man. I love Virna.
I bet you do.
But how do you see? My question is, how do you see Angela Hill winning this fight? Just like a grind out.
I just took literally dancing around, jab, stick, move, circle, stick, move, circle.
So you think she wins it in the striking? You don't think she needs to use any sort of wrestling? Because that's how she kind of beat Lemos, just kind of with like grappling and wrestling.
Yeah, because Lemos was such a dangerous striker where Virna Jandiroba has power, but it's not technical. Angela Hill's going to be much faster, move out of the way. So I think it's a kickboxing match that Angela Hill wins. And look at her takedown defense. 78%. She's got like 20-something fights in the UFC. That's solid takedown defense.
Yeah, I just struggle. I understand that. I mean, that all makes sense and adds up to me. But Virna, it just seems like she's just on another level. I think you and I would both agree that she is the better fighter in this matchup as far as all around. Angela Hill is tough, and you mentioned her fight IQ. Her fight IQ is off the charts. But I just don't see any way that I want to see her winning this fight. You know, I want to see that path, but to me on the feet, I think she gets pressured enough by Virna. You saw Virna drop Amanda Ribas, which nobody I think has ever dropped or knocked out Amanda Ribas. So she drops Amanda Ribas. You see the power there. You know, and then the grappling as well. I think Angela Hill might be in danger of getting submitted in this fight. And if not, I think Virna handles it pretty handily. I think she'd be a minus 250 favorite in my mind. I'm Virna all the way.
Crazy.
Virna's my girl.
That's crazy. We couldn't be farther apart. You want to bet on this fight?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Was that a
I said
yes?
So go on. That's usually okay. Let's do this then.
$100. You win. I give you 50. I win. You give me 100. Simple.
Easy. Done.
Everybody watch. That'll be fun. AS, if you're watching the stream, I owe you $50 too. I have no idea how to give it to you. So comment and let me know. Put that down, you buffoon. 8,500 to 7,700. Angela Hill does not traditionally score very well in DraftKings, but she did score well in that. It was a loss, but she did score well in that last fight because, to your point, she worked in some grappling, got some control time, and she may do control time against the cage here. That takes away the grappling and the power, and she has that fight IQ, so she may do that.
Virna's only lost to. Sorry, I'm just looking at it again. The 3 best fighters in the world: Carla Esparza, champ; Mackenzie Dern, future champ; and Amanda Ribas, future champ.
Amanda Ribas is not very good, but yeah. So I'm on the Angela Hill side. You're on the Jandiroba side, and we bet some money, so it'll be fun taking that from you. I like Angela Hill, maybe in DraftKings as well. I'll have to look a little closer at that. Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line. Listen, I do think, Angela Hill has proven to be very high volume and very durable. I don't know what to do with this Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line. What do you think? Because if Angela Hill wins, there's no stoppage. And honestly, I don't think Virna stops Angela Hill either.
Yeah, but I think there's more wrestling and grappling than people expect. So it's a tough line. I probably played it less though.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that line. If you guys are confident and you have an idea on it, go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up. They'll instantly match your deposit up to $100. Play some of these strike lines. I like to throw $10 at a bunch of different lines. You hit a few, you lose a few, but you still end up money because of how the odds play out. And if you want $50, I already did all that. WeWantPicks.com/bets. I'm loving that plus 3.5 bet that I placed.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, copyright.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 54, we have Michael Johnson taking on Alan Patrick. Michael Johnson, it is sad to see his record at 19-17 because at one point in time, Michael Johnson was like really putting it together and was turning into somebody. But Michael Johnson, 19-17 overall. 1-4 in his last 5, and he's riding a 4-fight skid. Alan Patrick, 15-3 overall. 2-2-1 in his last 5, coming back after a year layoff. And Michael Johnson's coming back after his own year away from the cage. And it was a loss to Clay Guida. And fun fact, we both picked Clay Guida in that fight, but that was Jacob's
Wow,
first
you're going to
ever-
like steal my shine? That's crazy that you just say that. Like I wouldn't remember that or something.
All right, I'll leave it alone.
That's
When
that's
Jacob
super
talks,
disrespectful.
he'll walk you through that. Michael Johnson, he's a talented guy. He's had incredibly tough competition slate. I mentioned I hate seeing that his record is 19-7 because he is good, and there was a period in time where he was going to do something. But if you look at his 13 losses in the UFC, and you might be like, holy crap, that's a lot of losses in the UFC. How is he still here? His record's almost 500. He lost to Beneil Dariush, Nate Diaz, Khabib, Justin Gaethje, Darren Elkins, Thiago Moises, and Clay Guida. And this is like all at their prime. So he's had a really, really tough competition slate. But he's good everywhere. He's a talented fighter, a talented striker. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he does have nice footwork. He's got a positive striking differential at around a half a strike above, to make it positive. And that's impressive considering who his opponents were. A typical path to victory against Michael Johnson would be to get him to the ground. He has taken down in all 4 of his UFC losses. And Alan Patrick, he's coming back to the UFC, and he's a grappler. He charges forward with giant punches, gets takedowns from there. His striking is not pretty, but it is effective for what he's trying to do. He has 23 takedowns in 9 fights, and there's absolutely no secrets what he's looking to do. He does have a negative striking differential. We talked about this last week. That always surprises me when you get grapplers because, frankly, they grapple. This guy has 23 takedowns, and he still somehow managed to get hit more than he hit somebody else, and that's a big red flag there. His last fight is a no contest to Mason Jones, and that was because of an eye poke, but he was on his way to lose that fight too. And this should be a really easy pick for Michael Johnson. And Michael Johnson is my pick. He's a more well-rounded guy. He's fought the higher level of competition. He has more ways to win. The problem is that he does lose fights that he can't keep standing. And Allan averages more than 3 takedowns per fight. The other problem is that ever since the Blackzilians broke up, so if you guys don't know who the Blackzilians are, look it up. It was a team of American top team misfits and some others all got together. Glenn Robinson laid out a bunch of money. They started a new gym. And Michael Johnson really thrived there. That's when he hit that nice streak in his career. Then Glenn Robinson died. Blackzilians disbanded. And he's at Sanford MMA. Sanford MMA is sort of the Blackzilians 2.0. There was an output of that. But he has just literally never been the same since then. Just straight up never been the same since then. That is a concern, but I got to go Michael Johnson here. He is the pick, but if the dude loses his 5th fight in a row, I mean, that's it. Hang him up. He's just never going to be the same. What do you think, Jackie boy?
Yeah, there's like 4 people that I think of when I look at their record. I think, wow, they're way better than the record shows. Michael Johnson's one. I think BJ Penn definitely is one. Mark Hunt is another one where I think Mark Hunt's like 13-14, but he had some unbelievable fights and some money. And Ryan Hall, I think, is the other one. So, but yeah, you mentioned Michael Johnson. Unfortunately, was the first casualty to lock of the week. He started the whole thing off. I was 0-2 up to that point, about to give it up. Threw my life savings on Clay Guida, and he dominated the fight on the ground with his pace and pressure. So that was the inaugural lock of the week, was Clay Guida versus Michael Johnson, and that really kind of, I think, is going to set his career on the uptrend. I think that's rock bottom, because when you lose to the lock, especially at this point, we've lost a couple in a row. If you lose the lock of the week, it's kind of rock bottom. But his trajectory's going up now. He's definitely the more talented fighter in this matchup. And Alan Patrick, he's one of those guys that is getting older, and in his last fight, he looked Like, he was getting older. He was doing just some, like, in there like he didn't even give a shit. All these, like, wild spinning back fists, blew his load. His takedowns looked slow and telegraphed. Mason Jones had no issues defending all of them. And then he was just exhausted at the end of the first round. Went back to, I think he was like crawling back to his stool. And then at the end of the round, after his rest time, he could barely get off the stool. He looked bad. He looked awful. I wanted to pick him in this matchup because in his wrestling, in his grappling, it usually is very, very strong. And that's where he excels. And I could see him maybe get a takedown and threatening submission versus Michael Johnson in the first round. But if this gets past 3 minutes of the first round, this should be a Michael Johnson fight all the way. So I'm Michael Johnson. He's way better than his 1917 record shows. And if he shows up and wants to be here, he should pretty much dominate this fight, I think, especially if he can survive that first kind of 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting fight for sure. We got some people in the live chat making comments about some picks and stuff. Here's the thing, guys. Go to wewantpicks.com/vote. Everybody that thinks they can do this better than us, go list your picks. Go make some votes. We record them. We'll go back. We'll take a look. And we'll see who is good and who is not good. And the good news is, if you get all your picks correct at wewantpicks.com/vote, we send you $100 as a congratulations. So everybody that thinks they're a genius, because there's a lot of you people that think you're geniuses, you have two options. wewantpicks.com/vote. Try to get yourself $100, or go to our free Discord. There is a link in the description. We have a whole channel dedicated to your picks. List them out. I'm happy to review them.
Everybody love everybody.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. Everybody thinks they're a genius.
Everybody love everybody.
How often do people do the laugh emoji? How often do people do that stupid laugh emoji? And then I respond, then list your picks. And then they
don't say LOL or laugh emoji or Angelo is going down your fucking throat. I mean, there's no holding this dude back. You put LOL, gloves are off. He's coming.
No, it's very easy. You think you have amazing picks? Publicize them as we do, and let's compare. It is the easiest thing in the world to do. Don't pinpoint one single pick and pretend you're a genius. All or nothing. You're a bunch of dorks. Michael Johnson, 8,400 in DraftKings. Not all of you. Some of you are amazing, including Solar Warden with that $50 super chat. $8,400 for Michael Johnson. Man, it's hard to lay out money on a guy on a 4-fight win streak who is not really a stoppage kind of guy. What do you think?
No thanks.
Yeah, that is a little tricky. And honestly, Allan Patrick with the takedown potential, if he was a much, like $7,200, that might be worth it. 78 is quite a bit to spend. I do like the more than Monkey Knife Fight strike line. I think this is kind of a sloppy war, and I say war loosely. I think it goes to a decision. I honestly think it's a little sloppy. So I like more Monkey Knife Fight. You agree?
Oh, it's gonna be a sloppy mess. Allan Patrick's gonna be in there doing some wild shit. So, more.
All right. Well, more on Monkey Knife Fight is our play. WeOnPicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They will instantly match that deposit up to 100 schmackaroos. And if you want 50 free bucks, WeOnPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 for freeze. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have Viviane Araujo taking on Andrea Lee. Viviane Araujo, 10-3 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, and she is coming off a loss to Katlyn Chookagian. Andrea Lee, who's from Atlanta, Texas, that's where my brother-in-law lives, by the way, 13-5 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, riding a nice 2-fight win streak. Viviane Araujo is a grappler who's very comfortable striking as well. She has technical boxing and great low kicks, but she does get hit pretty often and has a negative striking differential. She's athletic, fast, and always looking for a finish, both standing and on the ground, but conditioning can be an issue for her in the later rounds because of that pressure. Andrea Lee has been on the comeback with 2 stoppage wins in a row, and that was after a 3-fight skid. And if you go back and look at that 3-fight skid, you'll see that those were pretty close, and she's honestly just a few defended takedowns away from being 8-0 in the UFC. She's a dynamic striker who uses punches and kicks really, really well and mixes them up well. She's incredibly tough and has improved grappling. She had 3 takedowns in her win over Shevchenko, not the champ, obviously. But she also had 3 against Roxanne Modafferi and 3 against Joanne Calderwood. The gap, however, is her takedown defense, I'm a Brazilian now, is her takedown defense, which could be trouble in this fight. I like Andrea Lee in this fight. It's 2022, so everybody is well-rounded. This is it's close to a striker versus grappler matchup, but I think Andrea Lee's striking is good enough to stay away from the grappling, meaning she'll stick and move, get out of the way, and hopefully will avoid those takedowns. We've seen her grappling acumen on the rise.
Stop.
Solar Warden with another $50 super chat. Solar Warden, you're the man.
I was saying stop when it came through, so that goes to me as again. I was talking as it came through. Again, goes to me.
I think we're easy peasy, but thank you very much, Solar Warden. Very appreciated. You are absolutely the man. The pick is Andrea Lee, but losing to Roxanne Modafferi does scare me quite a bit. You're up, Jacob.
Yeah, so that last fight, Vivi, I love Vivi. She was my lock of the week against Katlyn, and she won that fight. That was the most ridiculous scorecards I've ever seen. So 2 of the 3 judges gave Vivi the first round. It was basically just a back and forth striking with Katlyn doing her which Andrea Lee, by the way, does that as well. She's more like a but she also yells with every single strike. Drives me crazy. So Vivi on 2 judges' scorecards won the first round. In the second round, had her fully mounted for 3.5 minutes of the second round. A choke in. She actually tapped to the choke. The ref didn't see it. And Katlyn gets out of that after being dominated for 4 minutes, stands up, hits Vivi a couple times, and 2 judges gave Andrea the second round. I couldn't believe it. And then all of them gave her the third round because Vivi, with her cardio issues, lost the third. But she dominated that second round, finished Katlyn, who we'll talk about with my girl Amanda Ribas, you know what I mean? So we'll talk about that later. Vivi is the better fighter in this matchup. She's a tenacious striker, a very good wrestler, and good on the ground. Andrea Lee just isn't on that same level. The question is, has Vivi fixed her gas tank issues? She's going to win the first round. She's probably going to win the second round. But with these judges and the way she looks when she starts losing because of her cardio, it becomes an issue. She looks like she's hurt when she's just tired. I'm picking I'm picking Vivi.
Oh.
I looked at my notes. I saw Angelo right when I was. I'm picking Vivi. She's the better fighter in this matchup. It's just whether her gas tank is able to hold up. That's the big question mark. It is a very, very big question mark. So don't, I wouldn't throw a bunch of money or anything on Vivi, but she's the better fighter in this matchup.
Yeah, I think she's the more well-rounded fighter, but I like Andrea Lee. That's why I said it's 2022, because I have to assume that Andrea Lee's continuing to progress, right? So I like Andrea Lee. I like her to win, but yeah, certainly there's a clear path for her to lose. But again, if you go look at her losses, she literally is like 1 takedown away in each of those fights from winning them. That's it, or 1 takedown defended away. Because even in that Roxanne loss, which again, that does not hold up well. She had 3 of her own takedowns.
Vivi
in
beat.
that. I would hope so. So I like Andrea Lee. You like Viviane Araujo. DraftKings is interesting because they picked a side. They picked the Andrea Lee side, which I'm surprised at because the odds are literally dead even almost everywhere. So, you guys pick a side and go from there. Both these women are tough. I don't see a stoppage on either one. So if you want one of your DraftKings, go from there. Monkey knife fight, honestly, it probably is a more. The only thing that worries me is if Andrea Lee gets smothered, but she's so high volume, even when she gets taken down, she puts up big numbers. So I think it's more.
I agree again. I think we're agreeing all night on Monkey Knife Fight.
All right, well, check it out. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They instantly match that deposit up to $100. And WeWantPicks.com/bets. If you sign up with any one of our 6 betting partners, make a deposit, we send you $50. My favorite part about the live chat right now is multiple people bragging about how good their picks are, and literally none of them lift their picks. It's insane to me.
Oh, you're not going to like Alex when you see that comment.
I saw it.
Did you already read that?
But it's very... Oh, Alex said Oliveira was going to win by submission. Oh, congratulations, Alex. You picked the most probable outcome. List your picks for every single fight. Here we go. Hercules Rockefeller did it. He's got the nuts. We'll come back. We'll check. And we'll compare.
Big
This
nuts
is all
on that
very
guy.
simple. Every week, that dude EO, every week. Oh, I went 1,000-0. Then why are you here, bro? Leave. You don't need anybody. You're going 1,000-0. Leave.
Talk to Drake. Drake lost
outta here.
$500,000 on Gagey. Go talk to that guy.
He's
Yo,
probably
Gagey was
following.
getting roasted after that fight. Everything was like, quitter, you quit, you tapped, you're a quitter. I was like,
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, EO finally listed his picks. We'll check those. I promise you, we'll check those. And this is why Jacob has his wall of shame. But let's move on.
wow.
And guys, I hope you know I'm from the Northeast. I love arguing with people. That's my thing. That's my wife. Next up, at UFC Vegas 54, we have Jake Hadley taking on Allan Nascimento. Jake Hadley 8-0, 5-0 in his last 5, coming off a submission win on the Contender Series. And Allan Nascimento 18-6 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, looking for his first UFC win. Jake Hadley is a well-rounded guy. He's got solid boxing and timing on his feet with decent takedowns and aggressive BJJ in the ground. He's coming off a really nice win on the Contender Series, but it was not without controversy. He had weight issues, so he missed weight. Apparently, he was like rude to the staff. And then, what's his name? Holy crap, the UFC matchmaker.
Sean Shelby.
Yeah, and oh my God, I've dealt with him a
Maynard?
million times. Yeah, Mick Maynard. I dealt with him a million times for LFA in the past. Anyway,
I bet it
Mick
sounds
Maynard
like
and Sean Shelby both told Dana White, don't sign this guy. He's a prick and he missed weight. And Dana White went ahead and signed him anyway because he just sees the talent. But the reality is that he is a good fighter. He's got titles and multiple regional promotions. He can strike, he can grapple, and he can stick to a high pace for a full 15 minutes. And he's taking on Allan Nascimento, who's a fun striker who likes to grapple as well. He doesn't have much to offer in the wrestling department, but he has no problem getting into a brawl, getting taken down, and working sweeps and submissions from there. Remember Joel Alvarez? Like how useless that guy was in the wrestling department?
Whoa.
That's exactly the Allan Nascimento.
You mean the guy that almost triangled Armin?
Okay.
Is it Armin?
Allan Nascimento will strike with you. He'll grapple with you, but zero wrestling, so he cannot control where that fight goes. But when he does hit the ground, if you take him down or you drop him and you pounce, whatever it is, he's got solid sweeps, solid submissions, and he can be dangerous. The problem is if he can't get the sweeps and he can't create a scramble, he just ends up on bottom the whole fight, just getting pounded on, just like when he fought Tagir Ulanbekov in his last fight. He's got okay power in his hands, but a miserable 6% takedown accuracy and 16% takedown defense. So this poor guy is not dictating where this fight goes. And I think I've made it clear in the past that the Contender Series fade, I'm pretty sure it's a bunch of nonsense. I am not a believer in the Contender Series fade. And if there is a fade that I believe in, I am officially on the Fortis MMA fade train. Those people never show up prepared. It's unbelievable. Anyway, don't get me started on that. I do like Hadley to win here. And the reality is he's got the better striking. And he can dictate where this fight goes. Why would he go to the ground? He doesn't need to go to the ground. And Allan can't force him to the ground. So pretty clear striking match win for Jake Hadley here. If it does get to the ground, I think he can survive. He's a pretty capable guy. But the reality is if you have zero wrestling or literally 6% wrestling, you can't dictate where the fight goes. And Jake Hadley, British striker, should be able to get it done. Hadley is the pick. What do you think, Jacobou?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it. And I actually hope that this fight does get to the ground because both these guys are so aggressive in the jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's going to be a stall tactic. It's going to be wild scrambles, rolling around. It'll be a lot of fun. So I hope it does end up on the ground. But you kind of alluded to it. Allan cannot control those positions. And this could end up being a lot like the Melissa Gatto-Tracy Cortez fight where Jake Hadley gets a takedown and ends up on the ground. He controls the position where Allan, a.k.a. Melissa Gatto, can be threatening submission after submission after submission, but the judges see Jake on top, so they score for Jake. Just like, Melissa Gatto clearly won that fight, but they scored it for Tracy Cortez. We're not mad about it at all. I hope it ends up on the ground. I don't know if Jake is going to get it to the ground. As you mentioned, Allan cannot really get to the ground. Allan is a shoot-the-box guy, So maybe the momentum carries over, training Oliveira. There's a few people that are starting to really excel in that camp, both guys and girls. I think it's because of the Oliveira. Anytime you have the champ in your camp, it raises everyone's level. So I have this as really kind of a pick-em fight, just whoever is able to win the scrambles. I like the aggressiveness of Nascimento's jiu-jitsu a little bit more than Jake and his wrestling. I wouldn't go. I don't think I'm going to put money on Nascimento, but I'm going to make Nascimento my pick because I think he's just a little bit more dangerous in those scrambles than Jake. But Jake could end up being Tracy Cortez and controlling this fight if it goes to the ground, or as you mentioned,
or it doesn't.
In the striking as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, that's the thing. Like, why would Jake Hadley take it to the ground? There's no reason to, because I think
if he's an asshole, then some people want to prove that they're not scared of you. You know, those are those type of people. They don't think straight, those assholes, you know?
I just think there's such a big gap, such a big gap on the feet. Like, why even entertain the ground game? So, very simple. Jake Hadley, $8,800. I mean, Nascimento's a tough guy, hard to put away, but Jake Hadley may be worth the 80. We only have 11 fights, 22 fighters on this card, so we'll see what happens. What do you think of that pricing?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because in DraftKings with sweeps, right, advances are also 5 points. So it's not just takedowns. It's also reversals. It's sweeps. So in this fight, if it goes to the ground, I see a lot of just kind of reversals and sweeps as well. So those could really, really add up for both guys. So I kind of see value in both guys.
Yeah, I could see that. Hadley may end up in my DraftKings lineup. We'll see what happens. And Monkey Knife Fight strike line, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch that strike line because we really don't know what's going to happen with this fight. Jake Hadley is his UFC debut. There are some factors. Nascimento is dangerous. So I'm not going to touch that Monkey Knife Fight strike line. But if you want $50, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Then we have... Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have the return of Frank Camacho after a 2-year layoff, and he's taken on Manuel Torres. And Frank Camacho's 22-9 overall, 1-4 in his last 5, and again, coming back after a 2-year layoff. Manuel Torres is 12-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's making his official UFC debut. And Frank Camacho is coming back after a 2-year layoff and 4 losses in his last 5 fights. That is a rough combination, but he actually is a pretty talented guy. He's a solid grappler. He's got intense ground and pound. He has BJJ skills, but when he gets on top, he's not really looking for that. He's just looking to TKO you instead. He has okay stand-up, but it's essentially him just rushing forward with tons of volume, hoping something big lands. When he does that, it leaves him open to get hit, and you can see that in his insane striking differential where he is hit with more than 7 significant strikes per minute. That's a ridiculous number, especially for somebody who has had multiple fights. It's not like he just has one bad fight in the UFC, so the numbers are skewed. His chin is fading. He is a bit older, but he is a gamer with solid takedown defense and the ability to make fights ugly. And Manuel Torres is a well-rounded prospect who also has dangerous striking and dangerous grappling. His striking isn't technical, but he uses his knees from the clinch really well, and he loves throwing head and leg kicks. If you look at his physique, he's long and skinny, and he does a really good job working with that. So his submissions are those long limb-style submissions like triangle chokes, power guillotines, darces, anything that uses leverage or the extra length in your arms to weasel their way in there. He uses that stuff really, really well. And it's the same logic with his clinch work. He's so long that he can keep his hips really far away, get that Muay Thai plum, and throw those knees right up the middle without worrying about a takedown. A lot of people are going to look at these two fighters' records and see that the odds are almost even and lay out their life savings on Torres, right? You can be like minus 130. The guy's 12-2. Frank Camacho's 1-4, 2-year layoff. But the reality is that Frank Camacho is tough. He's only 1-4 in his last 5, but he's a good fighter. He's powerful, strong, solid grappling, decent striking. He's just tough. He's got twice the experience of Torres, way more fight IQ. The layoff is an issue. His chin is going. I'd never know what somebody's going to look like after 2 years. Manuel Torres is absolutely the pick, but there's no bet here. I am not touching anything in this fight. Too many unknowns. What do you think Jakey boy.
Yeah, I think that 2-year layoff was probably a good thing for him. He mentioned he there was some fights booked in between there, so it's not like he was totally away from the sport. He was still in camps. He was still training. And last fight, I mean, he was a 330 favorite against like a 3-day notice Justin James. What did I just say? Minus 330 favorite, but he missed weight too. So I think the 2 years he's able to refocus his life. He talked about in an interview that he cleaned up he looked back at his old fights. He worked with his coach. He's trying to clean up his mistakes. And when he's in there, to me, he looks the part. Tell me he's not like a little like Robbie Lawler in there. The way he kind of fights, he looks like Robbie Lawler in the octagon. That's what I thought anyway. And he kind of fights like him too, where sometimes Robbie just kind of bites down on the mouthpiece and throws those big bombs. And that's the same thing that Frank does. He's got that big power. If you're Manuel Torres, take that Justin James playbook and just kind of blitz him early. Especially, you saw he didn't like that 2 years ago when he was still in the flow of things. He didn't like that early pressure, especially after a 2-year layoff. He's going to want to kind of ease into things, get the flow of things. If you press him early, I think that's the best path to victory for Manuel. He was kind of gifted his Contender Series win. Herb Dean, there was like a weird eye poke, and Herb Dean was like, didn't stop it. And the guy's like literally like this, and then he got head kicked and just pounced on, and everyone's like, what the hell was Herb Dean doing? He got poked in the eye. Another one of those Herb Dean mistakes. So he was gifted that a little bit. I'm going Frank Camacho. He talked enough in that interview about cleaning stuff up that he stayed ready. He's a better fighter. I know everyone talks the talk. I think Frank walks the walk. He's got the experience. He's got the big power. I think he gets it done. I'm going Frank Camacho. Frank the crank.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm not going to fight you on that pick. I mean, Frank Camacho is definitely one of the more live dogs. He's not a huge underdog, but he's definitely one of the more live underdogs. And the 2-year layoff is worrisome. The pick for me is Torres, but I'm not going to put money on this fight. There's too many unknowns. UFC debut, a little sloppy versus an aging chin kind of gone 2-year layoff. There's too much going on here, but
it's only DraftKings.
Yeah, I know. When I fight years though, man, he's been put out. He's been in wars. His body's beat to crap. $7,900 in DraftKings though. If he wins, he's gonna look really good in somebody's lineup because he makes fights ugly, and there'll be takedowns and control time, and he'll really make something ugly there.
It's definitely an interesting play for sure.
Yeah. And Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line, 88.74. This is another one. I'm not touching it. It feels too high. But this could be another sloppy war where these guys just absolutely go at it the entire fight.
Yeah, it could be an absolute war, or it could be a first round. Frank has first round punch out material, and he's been knocked out in the first round too. So this is very unpredictable, this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if anything, less is probably the play. If you guys are confident and you want to make a play, WeWantPicks.com/MKF. They'll instantly match your deposit up to $100. And if you want $50 free, WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. Here we go, Jacob. Jacob Ribas. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have Katlyn Chookagian taking on Amanda Ribas at flyweight. So Amanda Ribas is coming up in weight for this fight. We have Katlyn Chookagian 17-4 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, coming into this fight with a brand new UFC contract. Amanda Ribas 11-2 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, coming off a decision win over Virna Jandiroba about 6 months ago. Katlyn Chookagian is a tough 1-2 fighter. I just love breaking her down that way, and I've done it many times before. She works hard and she stays busy. She's an absolute master of the basics and pretty much out-decisions anyone who is not a top 4 fighter in the world. She's not a finisher, but she game plans really well. She will strike with a grappler, grapple with a striker. Her last fight, she looked absolutely incredible. Her only 2 losses in the last 4 years have been to Jessica Andrade and Valentina Shevchenko. Her other wins are all decisions where she had a clear striking advantage. And she's a problem for this division and for the UFC because the UFC builds up these prospects and then Katlyn Chookagian just out-decisions them and back down the ladder they go. And Amanda Ribas is a pretty complete fighter. I mentioned she's a 115-pounder coming up to 125 here. I literally have no idea why. Like, she's had success at her own weight class, so I don't know why she's moving up. Maybe Jacob knows, and he'll enlighten us. But she started her career as a grappler. She added striking. She's now comfortable everywhere. Her striking stats are pretty fantastic. She has a 5-2 striking differential. So for every 5 strikes she lands, she is only hit twice. And to top that off, her takedown defense is a solid 86%. She beat Mackenzie Dern in that loss, and gave her first loss. She outstruck her 3-1. She got her own takedowns and was not worried about the submissions. That was by far her most impressive performance. And this is a tricky fight because I think Amanda Ribas is probably the overall more complete fighter and definitely the more dangerous fighter. But I don't know how anybody could pick against Katlyn Chookagian in any fight like this, especially this fight. Katlyn Chookagian is going to be much larger, going to dance around, decision her way to it. I mean, I put 3 units on Katlyn Chookagian at -150 money line. I am so confident Katlyn Chookagian just... I have no idea why Amanda Ribas, how she's fighting the number 1 contender in a weight class above her, makes literally no sense. Katlyn Chookagian, you wanted a firm pick? There's your firm pick, Jacob. Go ahead, simp for us, start sweating and drooling and talking about Instagram.
No, did you? I just don't know how anyone can watch that Vivi fight against Katlyn and then not pick Amanda. Amanda is a better version of Vivi. Doesn't have the same striking, but her judo, her wrestling, her grappling is better. And Vivi had no issues. Obviously, there wasn't really a takedown that fight. I think she caught one of Katlyn's kicks and then took her down. But on the ground, Katlyn had nothing to offer of Vivi. Was getting mounted, a mounted guillotine tapped to it. And all of a sudden, you turn around, and she did look good in her last performance. I'm a Katlyn hater because she wins decisions by just yelling, with her striking. And the judges are like, oh my God, she's just hitting her so much. And even her corner is like, yeah, when she's just punching air. And the judges are like, oh my God, this girl is fantastic. Amanda Ribas struggles with people that can just put her lights out. You saw that against Marina, even though I think that was an early stoppage. The ref didn't. Was that Herb again, where she went down and they thought the fight was over, and then Amanda went for another takedown, and then she was TKO'd again. Even though I thought she was about to get the I thought she looked fantastic in that fight. But she struggles against people that can put her lights out. Virna again almost put her lights out, but she was able to survive and came back and won the next 2 rounds. Katlyn doesn't have that power. She's got the length, but she doesn't have that. I think her last finish was like 27 years ago or something like that. She does not finish people. Amanda is going to do what Vivi did, and that's just close the gap. Remember, Vivi won the striking battle versus Katlyn in the first round. 2 judges thought that she did. I thought she absolutely dominated. She just got inside the pocket because you don't have to worry about the shots coming inside the distance against Katlyn. You just close the distance. She can work on her striking in there, but once she closes the distance, Amanda is a judo black belt. She's just going to grab her, and when Katlyn, with those long limbs, tries to do anything, she's going to take her momentum the other way, get on top of her, and just dominate in the jiu-jitsu. I put moneyline bets on Amanda. What the
We're
hell
good.
was that?
I have no idea what just happened.
You got. Yeah, I bet. I'm on a roll here, and you got.
I didn't press any buttons. Everything just.
Anymore.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. Oh my, here we go. This is sabotage. This is sabotage.
Should be good.
But yeah, Amanda, I can't even remember where I was at, but Amanda is going to get this fight to the ground. She's going to judo throw it. I was going to say the money line was a plus 180, I think, at one point. It got bet all the way down to, I think she was a plus 110, talking about Amanda. And then it's now moved back up to about plus 140, 150. When she was like at 125, I put money line bets on her. I have inside the distance, decision, no action bets on her, which I think is a fantastic one as well, especially for the Ribas side, because if Katlyn's going to win, it's going to be this boring point decision. Amanda's going to get inside. She's going to get her hands on her. She's going to judo throw her to the ground. She's going to submit her. This is Amanda Ribas play all the way. I don't know what you drinking, Angelo, but Jesus Christ.
I think it's absurd to pick Amanda Ribas here. And listen, I did not mess with the stream. I don't know what the hell happened. I know historically I've muted you, thrown you off.
That's what I thought happened. Like I was really on a rant. I thought you were like, all right, he's gone.
No, both of us got kicked out. No, I didn't do that. Because people are laughing at me in the live chat because they love when I do that to you. But I didn't do it this time. I'd be glad to, but I did not do it this time. Listen, you and I cannot. You want to do a second bet on this fight?
It sounds like we already have our bet against the
book.
Well,
but let's go ahead. True, but
Yeah,
I
we
love
can
taking,
do another 50-100, right?
Yeah, 50, 100. This time it's reversed. All right, so you and I have 200 going against each other this week. Listen, guys, pick your side. I do see some of you in the live chat on the Man to Ribas side, which I don't know what the hell's going on, but $8,600
not that good. I will give her credit. I am
could you
biased.
say, like,
this
she
I
beats-
could not be. Excuse me. I could not be any more biased in this
This
fight
is what-
because Amanda Ribas is on my wall, and Katlyn I absolutely hate as a fighter until her last fight. Her last fight, she came out aggressive versus Jennifer Maia and looked fantastic. Actually, was using her length, was landing strike, was pressing forward. Even if she has that game plan against Ribas, Ribas is going to absorb the pillow strikes, get in close, grab her, and just throw her across the octagon, probably into a flying armbar, snap that thing off, throw it into the crowd. A kid's going to catch it, take it home, give it to their kids once they die. It's a fantastic story. All thanks to Amanda Ribas.
Well, we'll see what happens. I have no idea. I don't even know how this fight came together. I don't know why she's going up in weight. There's too much going on.
Does she get a title shot after this? Because she's going to beat the number one contender in not her own weight class. So there's all of a sudden she gets a title shot? I mean,
Maybe.
I'd give it to her.
Is my
I would
echo
give it to
that
her.
is my echo that bad?
I would give it to her, though.
Is my echo bad? My office is empty because I'm literally moving tomorrow, so everything's gone. But people keep commenting on my echo. Sorry, can't help it, guys. I'm moving. I'll have a bit different backdrop next week in my new house. $8,600. I'm gonna have to look at what Katlyn, how she's scoring in these wins. If she's scoring well, then I think she's a lock to win. So if she's scoring 80, 90, then I'll spend the $8,600. If she's scoring 56-point strike wins, I can't do it. I've already told you about the bet. The line is moving. I got it at minus 150. It's up to minus 170. Monkey Knife Fight strike line. Did you say less? Or was that a comment I read?
It's probably less. And you didn't ask me about DraftKings, but 7,600 is definitely
It's
worth it.
obvious. Yeah,
Amanda, you are priceless to me. I know you sent me a video before. I want to thank you again for that. I've been reaching out. I know you kind of leave me on red a little bit, but I'm here for you, supporting you all the way.
Okay. Well, I'm sure she appreciates your support for sure. As long as it's outside of 500 feet. And Monkey Knife Fight strike line, honestly, it probably is a more and more. Katlyn puts up big numbers, dances around in circles. Amanda's got great takedown defense. Katlyn's not really looking to take down unless she gets in some trouble, which I don't think she'll be in. So you and I made pretty clear picks here. Pretty straightforward. We'll see what happens. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we've got Davey Grant taking on Luis Smolka. Luis Smolka, 17-8 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he's alternating wins and losses. And he's taking on Davey Grant, 11-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, riding a 2-fight loss streak. Luis Smolka is primarily a striker with clean boxing, a solid... I don't know why I did that. Luis Smolka, he's primarily a striker. He's got clean boxing, a solid pace, and great footwork. And he's similar to Clay Guida. I like making that comparison about him in the fact that he's just always moving. He's never in one place for more than a couple of seconds. He's got a decent 5-4 striking differential, and he averages about 2 takedowns per fight. He has volume, pressure, but not much in the way of power. And historically, his chin was solid, but Vince Morales just put him out. And Davey Grant, as of late, has been a busy striker who utilizes kicks for range and punches for damage with some real power. He's coming off 2 losses, but they were good ones. A decision loss to Chito Vera, who we now know is the greatest fighter in the history of MMA, and anybody who questions... Anybody who questions Chito Vera...
I try to tell you.
By far, he is the GOAT. Chito Vera is the absolute GOAT. So the loss to Chito Vera there really holds up well for Davey Grant. And the other loss was a split decision to Adrian Yanez, where literally 2 strikes were the difference. It was 100 strikes to 98 strikes, and that was a split decision. So yes, 2 losses in a row, but they're not bad losses. A lot of people forget, though, that Davey Grant started his UFC career as a grappler, and as a whole, Davey Grant is an experienced grappler who he's gotten comfortable striking, he's gotten comfortable with his hands, he's developed some real power as of late. He has 9 fights under the UFC banner, and he built himself some solid fight IQ, even when he gets dropped, which unfortunately is pretty often. He stays composed, and he works through it. Davey Grant, he's coming into this 4 fights in a row with 4 performance of the night bonuses. That's pretty impressive. Sorry. And the guy puts on a show. He's always fun to watch. And that's actually what worries me here. I'm worried Davey Grant's getting used to those $50,000 bonus checks, and he's going to come out here, try to make it fireworks, try to be way too exciting, and then potentially lose a fight he shouldn't lose, or, get himself in a bad situation. I think he should use some of those grappling routes, mix in a few takedowns here, keep the striking, and then all of a sudden he's a little more dangerous. But I like Davey Grant to win. I think he should absolutely get this done. But, again, I don't want him to become a striker. Work in the takedowns, be a well-rounded guy, and go from there. What do you think, Jacob Lutz?
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting fight because we don't know what type of Luis Smolka is going to show up after getting knocked out for the very first time. You don't know how people respond. Not only how does his chin respond, but how does he respond as a fighter? Because normally he's a very loose, a pressure fighter. You saw he got caught because he was in that Muay Thai, was trying to push the pressure. That's what he's known for. Even in scrambles, he's a wild guy on the ground as well, very dangerous on the ground. But after you get knocked out, that could change your whole. You could start changing stuff in your camp because you start freaking out. You could change the way you fight because now you're scared of getting knocked out. You don't want it to ever happen again. You don't know how fighters respond, both with their chin and in their game plans. If this was the Luis Smolka before he got knocked out, I think this is a pick-em fight. Both these guys are very skilled. Davey Grant is the harder puncher, but Smolka is so slick with his striking and is good with his pressure to put Davey Grant on his back foot. But after getting knocked out, I don't know what kind of Luis Smolka is going to show up. If it's the one of old, I might pick him in this matchup, but it's just such a tough sell when someone gets knocked out, how they are going to respond. And Davey Grant does hit so hard and does have that wrestling in his back pocket. So the play here is Davey Grant. But if people are going to pick Luis Smolka, like in my Lock of the Week video, if people are like, oh, Luis Smolka Lock of the Week, I don't blame them for that pick because he is a very, very dangerous guy and has shown how tough he is in his previous fights. I just don't know how he's going to respond. So the play has got to be Davey Grant, unfortunately, in this matchup.
Yeah, we're both aligned there, and $9,100 is probably worth it, honestly. I like, when guys come off knockouts like that, I have no idea what the stats are, but somebody like Davey that's got the power, got the grappling if he needs it, he's probably worth the $9,100. So I like him in DraftKings. You like him enough to put him in your lineup?
Probably.
Yep. Yeah, and I do not like the more monkey knife fight, that's for sure. I do not think this is a full 3-round fight. I think Davey Grant probably gets a stoppage, or if it is a 3-round fight, I think he'll work in some takedowns, which will keep the strike line, at least for Luis, a little low. What do you think of that strike line?
Angelo, I'm going to agree with you again.
Here we go. Well, if you guys agree and you want to triple your money, go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. You sign up, you make a deposit. They instantly match your deposit up to $100. And if you want 50 free dollars from us to you, WeWantPicks.com/bets. You sign up with any one of our 6 betting partners, you make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Ryan Spann taking on Allan Cutelaba. Ryan Spann, 19-7 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a submission loss to Anthony Smith. And Allan Cutelaba, 16-6 overall, 2-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off a solid decision win. Ryan Spann is massive and has all the power that you think he would when you look at him. The dude is 6'5", jacked, huge for this division. He's very dangerous. He's got a lot of finishing upside. His issue, though, is his speed. He's never first to the jab. And if you can move around him or shoot under those slow jabs, you can absolutely have some success piecing him up, out-grappling, working the takedowns. It is a shame because he's so big, so powerful, but man, he's slow. And it sucks, because he'd be ridiculously dangerous if he had a little bit more speed on those punches. And Ion Cutelaba, he's coming off a nice win over Devin Clark. He had 8 takedowns in that fight. And before that, he had a draw with Dustin Jacoby where he had 9 takedowns. And he's definitely a grappler, but he also has some really good power in his hands. And he's happy to fight in a phone booth. He's a feast or famine guy, so he's either chasing a stoppage, and while he's doing that, he might get stopped. He has no problem putting himself in harm's way to try to get that win. He's good on the ground. He racks up tons of takedowns, but he can be a little sloppy with those takedowns. They're like loose body locks that are more muscle than technique. Cutelaba does get finished in his losses, but that's to great strikers or great jiu-jitsu guys. And while Ryan Spann is super dangerous, I don't know if he's going to be dangerous enough. There's no reason to overcomplicate this pick. Ryan is big, fast, strong, dangerous, but he's got grappling holes. Anthony Smith submitted him. I think Cutelaba will just do more of the same. Obviously, Cutelaba's got to be, worrisome on his feet. Make sure he's not going to get caught in one of those phone booth fights with Ryan Spann, but get those takedowns. You racked up 8, 9 your last 2 fights. Get the takedowns. You'll be fine from there. So Cutelaba, pretty confident pick for me. What do you think, Jackie boy?
You didn't even mention your Fortis MMA thing. You Ryan Spann out of Fortis MMA. So
Fortis fade,
Angel's
baby.
pick is definitely Fortis fade. Hashtag. We got t-shirts on sale. We want picks.com. That would be
we live right outside.
I know.
Dallas,
I wouldn't wear it around here. I wouldn't wear it around here, but it would be pretty funny for other people. But yeah, this is Jan Cutelaba kind of reminds me of a Michel Pereira type fighter, to where it gets a little bit wild and it cost him at times. Especially you saw that in the cardio versus Glover, the striking versus Ankalavi got caught. And it kind of in the same way Michel Pereira's kind of figured out. They're both younger than you think. I think Michel Pereira's like 26. Cutelaba was only 26. In the same
28.
way that Michel Pereira's kind of... What?
He's 28.
Don't use that tone with me.
Okay.
Kind of in the same way Michel Pereira's kind of figured out that if he just kind of calms down a little bit, he's going to be the more talented fighter in most of his matchups, and has started to turn kind of his career around from those weird mistakes and those weird losses. Jan Cutelaba is kind of figuring that out too. He got those wild losses versus Ankalav where he just wanted to bite down and throw bombs. He's still kind of this wild dude that in the striking will throw bombs, but he started to grapple more and more, and he realized that I'm a better grappler and a better wrestler than most of the people I face. Why am I standing up and trying to knock everybody out? And if he sticks to that game plan, he should have a very, very successful career and should start pushing back into that top 10, top 5 position. If he doesn't, and he comes in and tries to be that knockout guy again versus Ryan Spann, it's going to be an issue, and we've seen him get knocked out before because of it. So, Cutelaba, if he just stay nice and calm, the face-offs are going to be wild. He's always got something up his sleeve at the face-offs. If he just kind of calms down and takes his time and gets the takedowns, he should absolutely dominate this fight. If he comes in and tries to throw bombs with Ryan Spann, he could obviously end up getting caught. So Cutelaba's the play. But Ryan Spann on the feet is always going to be a dangerous guy with that power.
Yeah, what's the round line? Is this 1.5 or 2.5?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, if it's 2.5, I'm doing the under. If it's 1.5, I don't know. But this Cutelaba, he's going to be in my DraftKings lineup. I enjoy him to get the takedowns and probably get a stoppage. Literally, Anthony Smith can do it. Cutelaba should be able to do it. You're nodding your head. Monkey Knife Fight strike line, I think it's a more or less. I think Ryan will let his hands go, will hit while trying to defend his takedowns, and then will get taken down, and then his numbers are gone, and then Cutelaba is going to be on top, work his way to a submission. It's 72, so that leads me to think, they think he's going to be on top and just unloading, but I think he'll work for a submission. What do you think of the Monkey Knife Fight strike line?
I mean, I could see this as like a Khalil Roundtree type fight where Cutelaba gets an early takedown, and just those elbows that he was landing on Khalil Roundtree are like terrifying. I mean, they're coming across with so much torque and power. I could see this being an early finish for Cutelaba if he gets it to the ground early.
Yeah, we'll see. So I don't know. I might find a bet on this fight because I'm very confident in the pick, and minus 220. That basically, if I lay out $220, I get $100 back. on top of my
I'm sure.
220.
I'm pretty sure he punched in. He broke in Devin Clark's teeth too. His bottom 5 teeth with an elbow.
Yeah, no, he's got power in his hands for
crazy.
sure. The problem is he's finishable, and Ryan Spann looks like Ryan Spann and hits like Ryan Spann. That is obviously the concern. So I'm probably not gonna have a bet on this fight, but if you want to place a bet with any one of our 6 betting partners, go to weonpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. Next up at UFC Vegas 54, we have the main event of the evening. We have Jan Blachowicz taking on Aleksandar Rakic. Jan Blachowicz, 28-9 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. And he's coming off that lone loss to Glover Teixeira where he lost his belt. Aleksandar Rakic, 14-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, making his return after a year away from the cage. And Jan Blachowicz, he's the former light heavyweight champion of the world. And he just lost his belt to Glover Teixeira back in October. Jan is a striker who hits incredibly hard and has solid wrestling. And we don't see the wrestling often, but we did see it on display when he beat Izzy with 3 takedowns. He's a well-rounded guy with a world of experience. He's 11-6 in the UFC with wins over Jared Cannonier, Jacare Souza, Luke Rockhold, and Israel Adesanya. Aleksandar Rakic is a dynamic striker who uses his length and reach to out-technique and out-decision his opponents. He mixes in kicks really well and has no issues transitioning from leg kicks to head kicks while moving forward. While he does have power, he likes to fight on the outside and not necessarily look for a brawl. Because of this, his strike numbers are really high, but his significant strike numbers are low. It's a lot of jabs. So, for example, he landed 141 strikes against Anthony Smith, but only 44 of them were significant. So it was a ton of jabs, ton of little small touch-ups. He is coming off a decision win over Thiago Santos, which could arguably have gone the other way. But overall, Rakic is a well-rounded guy with striking as a base and wrestling if he needs it. And I mentioned all of the wins that Jan has, but if you noticed, every single one of them were middleweights. And he has clear power advantages over those middleweights. And, you know, he's fighting another big light heavyweight. And Glover, when Glover beat him, you'll see on the list, submission. Glover's a jiu-jitsu guy. Glover dropped him with a punch and then worked in the grappling. And Rakic, he does have power. He doesn't go to it very often, but this is a hard fight to call. I do think Jan has some good fights left in him. I mean, if he beat Glover, he's the light heavyweight champion of the world. You know what I mean? And obviously that's a stupid analogy, but you know, he's one fight removed from being the best light heavyweight the UFC has. And I think Rakic is the more dynamic fighter. He does have, you know, the same, he does not have the same level of one-punch knockout power, but he's got tremendous takedown defense at 90%. He's got solid versatility in the striking. He's long. He uses that really well. I think Rakic is more technical, more dynamic. He's going to have to worry about the power big time, but I think Rakic can get this done, and I think he's going to use, or at least I hope he uses, kicks to keep the distance, stay away from that Jan power. But I do like Rakic to win here, but honestly, that I'm not very confident. And if Jan Blachowicz goes out there, punches his teeth in, well, the dude is one fight removed from world champion. So, yeah, that's what happens. So what do you think?
I assume those DraftKings amounts were flip-flopped on there because you had
They sure
Jan
were.
with more.
They
Oh,
sure
Joey T!
were.
It's been a great show, but pricing is backwards, Uncle Angelo, for the main event. Yes, stupid. Why don't you fix that?
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much.
He donated just to call your ass out.
Just to fix it. Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. A mid-move.
Yeah, so Alexander, I think, is the play for this fight. He is the more technical, probably the overall better fighter, the more dynamic, as you mentioned. But this just kind of feels like a trap, man. Jan Blachowicz was the favorite. He was the champion and the favorite to beat Glover. Loses, and all of a sudden he's an underdog versus a contender. It's kind of surprising how fast people stop believing in somebody that was the champion, defended the belt, and then lost to a very good opponent. Now he's an underdog versus Rakic, which seems kind of crazy to me. I was Rakic all the way. I mentioned to you earlier that Izzy fight to me was, I rewatched it. A lot of people think that Jan just like beat the crap out of Izzy that entire fight. That was a close fight to where after I rewatched it, I was like, oh my God, like were these scorecards correct? You know, he did get the takedowns, but Izzy was able to defend some of the takedowns. So I watched that fight in that film and I thought, oh, Rakic has this fight 100%. But it just feels like a trap to me. Something about this feels like a trap that once we watch this fight, we're going to watch it and be like, oh, of course Jan. Like, why did we pick against Jan? Of course he's going to use the wrestling, dominate the fight the way that Jan has shown that he can do before. Dominic Reyes, Izzy, the same way. I'm going Jan. Everything is telling me Rakic. That has... My mind has led me astray the past couple cards, especially last week. So whatever my mind says, I'm going opposite for the main event. I'm going Jan with the big KO, the Polish power, gets it done.
You're George Costanza. You don't watch Seinfeld, but there's a whole episode where George just questions his entire life and all his instincts. So he just does the opposite, and the opposite works. His life improves dramatically. So, yeah, start making some better life choices.
People are just donating just to make fun of you, and I love it.
We
need to do one live stream. We need to do a talk to text to where they donate and then it says it out loud. It's so funny.
Oh,
it's so funny.
You don't want to hear these people voice. I bet Jester's a 17-year-old.
No, it doesn't. No, it's a robot says it. It's a talk to text. Come on.
And no offense, Jester. Thank you very much. I am mid-move.
It would say, Angelo, I'm mid-move. 2 months later. Like it's a talk to text.
I will have a new backdrop next video because I'm out of here. You know, we're split here. I totally understand. You know, Jan winning. But the reality is all of his good wins are over middleweights. And then Dominic Reyes, who is just not very good. So I do think Jan, the stars aligned for him on his title run. I think Rakic is a legitimate contender. He's very good. I wish he had a little more power, threw a little more firm with his strikes when he throws them out there. But, you know, I like Rakic to win. Not the most confident pick in the world, but mostly because Jan is, you know, literally one fight removed from the world championship. Do you like Jan enough to spend the $7,500 in DraftKings?
Yeah, he's probably going to be in my lineup. I think he finds a finish.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins, that it will be how he does it. But keep in mind, Rakic has a 90% takedown defense, so settle down with the takedowns there. This is a 5-round. This is a 5-round fight. Rakic does not necessarily have that one-punch power. He doesn't go to it very often. So I really like the monkey knife fight more play here. What do you think?
I agree.
All right. Well, super helpful yet again. Guys, you want to do that monkey knife fight strike line? You go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. You sign up. You make a deposit. They instantly match your deposit. And then you do more in a line, more or less, whatever you want to do. And if you're right, you can triple your money depending on the circumstances. You can put them all together and 25 times your money. wewantpicks.com/MKF. And if you want $50 from me to you, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, $50. Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 6 betting partners. Make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. And guys, do not forget, we're giving you $100 if you can pick a perfect card at wewantpicks.com/vote. It costs you nothing. You don't need to be a member. There's no qualifier. There's no disclaimer. wewantpicks.com/vote. Vote for who you think wins. And if you pick a perfect card, we send you $100 as a congratulations, because that's a tremendous feat. We only have 11 fights on this card. This might be the card where you could actually pull that off. Jakey boy,
I'm going 11-0.
I'm not paying you. If you get it, you're not getting paid.
When I get it, it's
the one disclaimer is you can't work here. Same, Josh, you don't qualify.
I quit. Okay, I quit. I'll quit. I'll quit, and that $100 is more than I made in the last 6 months. You know. My last words are Lock of the Week video Wednesday, guys. We're going to just start doing a giveaway for Lock of the Week, so every time a Lock of the Week hits, did we decide if we're going to do it for a member?
I didn't hear about
I think it was, I texted you, and you said that sounds good. So I think when Lock of the Week hits, somebody's going to get $50 out of it. So tune in Wednesday to my Lock of the Week video to find out who my lock of the week is. But if you know me, I think you know me. So,
Well, my favorite part of the last week is the Wall of Shame. I'm absolutely loving
wall of shame.
that. Okay,
And
actually,
it's ready to go. It's locked and loaded.
Oh, did what's his name? Well, hopefully you can edit out Bert. Was it Bert with the fight?
Unfortunately, back to 500. Little teaser.
Okay.
Little teaser.
All right, guys. Thank you all very much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the super chats were wild today. Thank you guys so much for that. We'll see you the rest of this week. I will have a different backdrop and hopefully no more echo. I'll see you guys later this week.